Ocarina of Time is over 25 years old, and it's been dissected, analyzed, speedrun, and modded more than almost any game in history. You'd think there are no secrets left, that every Easter egg has been found, every glitch documented, and every design decision understood. You'd be wrong. Ocarina of Time is so dense with hidden content, obscure details, development secrets, and intentional mysteries that even veteran players who've beaten the game dozens of times are constantly discovering new things. Today we're diving into 26 facts about Ocarina of Time that will blow your mind, from cut content and development stories to hidden mechanics and Easter eggs that have been hiding in plain sight for over 2 decades. Let's get started. Fact 1. The Unicorn Fountain was real. Deep in Ocarina of Time's code lies evidence of a cut area called the Unicorn Fountain. Data miners have found texture files, model data, and map references to a location that would have featured a unicorn and functioned similarly to the Great Fairy Fountains. The area was far enough into development that it had finished assets, but it was cut before release for unknown reasons. The prevailing theory is that the Unicorn Fountain would have provided a unique upgrade or ability that was later redistributed to other Great Fairy Fountains or removed entirely from the game. Some speculate it was related to Epona, as the unicorn theme connects to Link's horse companion. Whatever the reason for its removal, the Unicorn Fountain represents one of the most mysterious pieces of cut Ocarina content, forever frozen in the game's code as a tantalizing what-if. Fact 2. R-Wings from Star Fox 64 are in the game. This isn't a rumor or a myth. R-Wings from Star Fox 64 are legitimately programmed into Ocarina of Time's code. If you use cheat devices or ROM hacking tools to replace certain enemy models, you can make R-Wings appear and even fight them. They have proper hit detection, take damage, and can be destroyed. Why? During development, Nintendo's teams would share assets and test different ideas across projects. The R-Wing was apparently used as a test enemy to develop 3D combat mechanics and targeting systems. The developers never removed it from the final game's code, leaving it buried for hackers to discover years later. It's not accessible through normal gameplay, but it's a fascinating glimpse into Nintendo's development process and how they experimented with crossover content before deciding against it. Fact 3. The Running Man can never be beaten. The Running Man who races you from the Lake Hylia Bridge to Gerudo Valley is programmed to be unbeatable. He will always finish 1 second faster than Link, no matter how perfectly you run the course. Players have spent hours trying to optimize routes, using every trick and shortcut imaginable, and the Running Man always wins by exactly 1 second. This isn't a programming oversight, it's deliberate trolling from Nintendo. The Running Man is designed to teach players that some challenges have no solution, that not every competition can be won, and that sometimes the reward is just the experience of trying. It's a surprisingly philosophical design decision disguised as a frustrating side quest. The Running Man represents an unattainable goal, forever mocking players who refuse to accept that some races can't be won. Fact 4. Dampé has different behavior based on time. Everyone knows Dampé the Gravedigger leads you through his grave as adult Link, but few players realize that Dampé's ghost behaves differently depending on what time of day you enter his grave. The flames, obstacles, and even Dampé's movement patterns change based on the in-game hour you begin the challenge. Enter at midnight and Dampé takes the hardest possible route with the most obstacles. Enter during early evening and he's more lenient, taking easier paths with fewer jumps. This isn't documented anywhere in the game, but speedrunners and challenge runners have discovered the time-based variance through extensive testing. It's Nintendo's way of making the challenge more or less difficult, depending on when players naturally encounter it, without explicitly advertising the mechanic. Fact 5. The Gerudo symbol was changed after release. Original Japanese versions of Ocarina of Time featured a different Gerudo symbol that resembled an Islamic crescent and star. This caused controversy, and Nintendo changed the symbol in later versions and international releases to the abstract geometric design we know today. If you play the original Japanese gold cartridge version, you'll see the original symbol throughout Gerudo areas. This change required modifying textures throughout the game, affecting the mirror shield, Gerudo architecture, flags, and various environmental details. It's one of the most significant post-launch changes to the game's visual content, though most Western players never saw the original design. The controversy taught Nintendo to be more culturally sensitive with religious and cultural symbols in their games going forward. Fact 6. There's a hidden fishing mechanic. The fishing pond has a secret that most players never discover. There's a specific technique for catching the largest fish in the pond that involves using the sinking lure at specific times of day with specific casting angles. But here's the real secret. If you cast your line into specific spots during specific weather conditions, you can catch fish that shouldn't exist in the pond. The largest fish in the game requires perfect conditions: rainy weather, nighttime hours, the sinking lure, and a cast into the exact center of the pond's deepest section. Catch it, and the fishing pond owner will acknowledge you've achieved something remarkable and reward you with a unique piece of heart. But there's more. If you steal the fishing rod by leaving the fishing pond area with it, Link will have unique dialogue and reactions throughout Hyrule, with NPCs commenting on why he's carrying a fishing rod in dungeons and towns.
Fact 7. The market was supposed to be much larger. Ocarina of Time's Castletown Market is actually a drastically scaled-down version of what was originally planned. Early development materials show concept art for a market 3 times larger, with more shops, more NPCs, and multiple districts. Hardware limitations force Nintendo to cut the market down to a more manageable size. But evidence of the larger market still exists in the game's structure. The market's layout has numerous alcoves, doorways, and paths that lead nowhere, suggesting they originally connected to additional areas. The way NPCs move and the patrol patterns they follow make more sense in a larger space than the cramped market we got. Ocarina pushed the N64 to its absolute limits, and the market is where those limitations became most obvious. Fact 8. Ganondorf plays the organ during your approach. When you climb Ganon's castle and approach the final confrontation, you can hear organ music. Most players assume this is just dramatic background music. It's not. That's actually Ganondorf playing the organ in his chamber. If you listen carefully, the music has mistakes and imperfections that wouldn't exist in recorded background music. Ganondorf is actually performing this piece, and you're hearing it echo through the castle as you approach. This detail adds incredible atmosphere and characterization. Ganondorf isn't just waiting for you like a standard boss enemy. He's playing music, perhaps celebrating his victory, perhaps mourning the kingdom he destroyed, perhaps just passing time before the final confrontation. It's a humanizing detail that makes Ganondorf feel like a real person rather than just an evil force. Fact 9. The Stone of Agony references the Rumble Pack's Japanese name. The Stone of Agony, which causes your controller to rumble near secret grottos, has a strange name that only makes sense in Japanese contexts. The Rumble Pack was called the Vibration Pack in Japan, and its vibration was associated with the term agony, or intense sensation. The Stone of Agony is literally a pun referencing the controller accessory's Japanese name. This joke was completely lost in English localization, where it just sounds like a weird mystical item name. But for Japanese players, the connection between the Stone of Agony and controller vibration was an obvious and clever pun. It's one of many localization details that work perfectly in Japanese, but become confusing or meaningless in English. Fact 10. Kokiri Village has a dead zone. There's a specific spot in Kokiri Village where game logic breaks down. Stand in the exact center of the village, between the shop and the Great Deku Tree path, and you'll notice your targeting system stops working properly. Enemies don't notice you even when you're visible. The camera behaves strangely. It's a dead zone where multiple game systems conflict and create unexpected behavior. This isn't a useful glitch or an exploitable bug. It's just a fascinating example of how 3D game development sometimes creates unintended interactions between systems. The dead zone exists because multiple trigger volumes and camera zones overlap in that specific spot, causing the game to become confused about which system should take priority. It's harmless, but demonstrates how complex Ocarina's programming was and how many invisible systems are constantly running. Fact 11. The Happy Mask Salesman knows about time travel. The Happy Mask Salesman's dialogue contains subtle hints that he understands Link travels through time. His cryptic warnings, his knowledge of events he shouldn't know about, and his mysterious appearances and disappearances suggest he's not bound by normal time like other NPCs. Some theories suggest he's the same character as the masked salesman in Majora's Mask, further connecting him to time manipulation and supernatural knowledge. But here's the detail most players miss. If you return to the mask salesman at different points in the timeline with different inventory items, his dialogue changes to acknowledge things that haven't happened yet or reference events from alternative timelines. He breaks the fourth wall subtly, suggesting awareness beyond a normal NPC. The game never explains who he is or why he has this knowledge, making him one of Ocarina's most mysterious characters. Fact 12. The Redeads react to the Sun's song. Everyone knows the Sun's song changes day to night. Few players realize it also stuns Redeads, those terrifying zombie-like enemies that scream and freeze you. Play the Sun's song near Redeads and they'll cower, giving you free hits or allowing you to pass safely. This works in the royal family's tomb, the Shadow Temple, and anywhere else Redeads appear. The Sun Song representing light defeating darkness isn't just thematic, it's mechanical. Redeads are undead creatures that fear light and the sun, so the song that controls the sun naturally affects them. It's consistent world building where lore and gameplay mechanics align perfectly. Most players never discover this because they're too terrified of Redeads to experiment with songs while frozen in fear. Fact 13. The Bigorn Sword Trading Quest has a secret shortcut. The Bigorn Sword Trading Quest is notoriously long, requiring multiple days of in-game time to complete as you wait for various NPCs to finish their tasks. But there's a secret. If you play the Sun Song repeatedly to advance time while holding certain quest items, some NPCs will complete their tasks instantly rather than making you wait. This isn't documented anywhere, but it allows skilled players to complete the trading quest in a fraction of the usual time. The game tracks time by day cycles, and the Sun Song forces day cycle transitions. Some quest triggers check for X days passed rather than X real-time minutes elapsed, meaning you can skip waiting by rapidly cycling day and night. It's an elegant solution that rewards players who understand the game's time mechanics. Fact 14. There are unused songs in the game's code. Data miners have found 3 complete, fully programmed songs in Ocarina of Time that aren't accessible during normal gameplay. These songs have proper notation, sound samples, and even magical effects programmed. They were cut late in development, after they'd been fully implemented for reasons that remain unclear.
One appears to be an alternate version of the Song of Storms, another seems related to the Temple of Time. The third has effects that suggest it was meant for solving specific puzzles that were later redesigned or cut. These songs represent content that was nearly finished but didn't make the final game, leaving players to wonder what quests or dungeons they were meant for. Fact 15. Navi's color changes based on context. Navi doesn't just turn yellow when there's something to target. Her color actually changes subtly based on what she's highlighting and why. Enemies make her glow bright yellow. Important story NPCs give her a softer yellow. Hidden secrets make her turn slightly green. These color variations are subtle enough that most players never consciously notice them, but they subconsciously guide player attention. This is brilliant UI design that communicates information without explicit text or indicators. Experienced players can glance at Navi's color and instantly understand what type of interaction is available without needing to target and check. It's visual language that the game never explains, but players unconsciously learn through repeated exposure. Fact 16. The Well and Shadow Temple share the same music. The bottom of the well and the Shadow Temple use the exact same background music, which isn't a coincidence or a cost-saving measure. It's deliberate environmental storytelling. The bottom of the well is where you learn the truth about Kakariko Village's dark past and the torture and death that occurred there. The Shadow Temple is where that darkness literally manifests. Using the same music connects the locations thematically, suggesting the Shadow Temple is an extension of the evil that existed beneath Kakariko. The well was just the entrance to much deeper horror. Players who recognize the musical connection understand the lore implications without any explicit explanation. It's subtle storytelling through audio design. Fact 17. Volvagia has a tragic backstory nobody sees. Volvagia, the dragon boss in the Fire Temple, has a complete backstory that's hinted at but never fully explained. According to in-game text, Volvagia was a dragon that ate Gorons until a legendary hero defeated it. Ganondorf revived Volvagia and used it to terrorize the Gorons again, creating a cycle of suffering. But here's the detail players miss. The legendary hero who originally defeated Volvagia was implied to be Link's previous incarnation or an ancient hero of time. You're not fighting Volvagia for the first time, you're repeating a battle that was fought generations ago. The cycle of hero, princess, and evil reincarnating across time isn't just lore, it's built into boss encounters. You're literally fighting the same evil your predecessors fought. Fact 18. There's a working fishing rod in the item code. Deep in Ocarina's item database is a fully functional fishing rod that can be equipped like a regular item rather than only at the fishing pond. It has animations, sound effects, and proper functionality. With cheat devices, you can access this item and fish in any body of water in Hyrule, not just the fishing pond. Nintendo clearly experimented with making fishing a universal mechanic, but decided against it probably because it would trivialize certain puzzles or break game balance. Imagine catching fish anywhere for health restoration or rupees. The fishing rod was clearly meant to be more integrated into gameplay before being restricted to the fishing pond minigame. Fact 19. The windmill song creates the storm. The Song of Storms has a time paradox built into its acquisition. As adult Link, you learn the song from Guru Guru in the windmill, who is driven mad by a child playing the song 7 years ago. You then travel back in time and play the song for young Guru Guru, creating the very event he remembers. You cause the problem you're solving. This is a perfect stable time loop. The song exists because you play it, and you play it because the song exists. There's no original causation, just an infinite loop. It's one of gaming's best examples of time travel paradox implemented through gameplay mechanics. The game never explicitly addresses the paradox, trusting players to realize the impossible circular causation they've just participated in. Fact 21. Dark Link mirrors your every move perfectly. Everyone knows Dark Link in the Water Temple copies your movements, but the mirroring is deeper than most players realize. Dark Link uses the exact same attack patterns, timing, and strategies that you do. If you rely on specific combos, Dark Link will use those same combos. If you spam jump attacks, Dark Link will spam them back. The fight is designed to punish button mashing and reward thoughtful combat. If you fight aggressively, Dark Link matches your aggression. If you fight defensively, he becomes defensive. The only way to beat him consistently is to break your own patterns and fight in ways you haven't been fighting throughout the game. Dark Link is literally a mirror, forcing you to confront your own playstyle. Fact 22. The Triforce was almost obtainable. Early in development, the Triforce was meant to be an obtainable item that Link would collect piece by piece. Evidence exists in the game's code, unused cutscenes, and development documents. The structure of the game with 3 spiritual stones and 3 adult dungeons mirrors the Triforce's 3 pieces, suggesting a collecting quest was planned. This was cut, likely due to time constraints and story revisions, but remnants remain. The Triforce still appears in cutscenes and story moments, and certain game systems seem designed around eventually collecting it. Some players theorize a Triforce collection quest would have been post-game content or led to a true ending beyond the standard completion. Whatever the case, obtaining the Triforce was planned but never implemented. Fact 22. Forest Temple has paintings that change. The Forest Temple's twisted hallway contains paintings that subtly change as you progress through the dungeon. The paintings show the Post Sisters, but their positions and expressions shift depending on how many you've defeated. It's easy to miss because the changes are subtle, and the paintings look bizarre enough that players don't scrutinize them carefully. This is environmental storytelling through dynamic content. The dungeon itself is reacting to your progress, reflecting the decreasing power of the Post Sisters as you defeat them.
It makes the Forest Temple feel alive and aware, more than just a static puzzle box. These little details demonstrate the care Nintendo put into making Ocarina's world feel reactive and immersive. Fact 23. Ganondorf was originally going to be a different character. Early character designs show that Ganondorf went through numerous iterations before settling on his final appearance. Some concepts depicted him as an elderly wizard, others as a knight in armor, and some as a beast-like creature. The Gerudo association came later in development, as did the decision to make him younger and more imposing. Interestingly, the final battle against Ganon, the beast form, was always planned, but how Link transformed into the beast changed during development. At one point, Ganondorf was meant to willingly transform as a power-up. In the final version, he's transformed by his own hatred and Triforce power after his defeat. This change makes the transformation more tragic, suggesting Ganondorf lost control rather than choosing his final form. Fact 24. The Scarecrow song can break sequence. The Scarecrow song, which you create yourself and teach to Pierre, can be used to sequence break in ways Nintendo probably didn't intend. Certain locations have Scarecrow spawn points that were meant for late-game access, but if you know they exist, you can summon Pierre early and reach areas before you're supposed to. Speedrunners exploit this to skip portions of dungeons or access adult Link areas as Child Link. The flexibility of letting players create their own song and use it anywhere was ambitious, but it opened sequence-breaking possibilities. Nintendo either didn't fully playtest every Scarecrow location or decided the sequence breaks weren't game-breaking enough to fix. Fact 25. There are hidden grottos that serve no purpose. Ocarina of Time has several hidden grottos scattered across Hyrule that contain absolutely nothing. No chests, no enemies, no NPCs, just empty caves. Players have theorized these were meant to contain content that was cut, or they're intentional red herrings meant to punish players who expect every secret to have rewards. The more sinister theory is that these empty grottos are psychological experiments. After finding dozens of grottos with rewards, finding empty ones creates genuine disappointment and frustration. Players begin questioning whether other secrets are worth pursuing. It's almost cruel, but it makes rewards feel more valuable by demonstrating that exploration doesn't always pay off. Not every mystery has an answer, and Ocarina doesn't shy away from that truth. Fact 26. The game tracks how you play and adjusts. This is the fact that changes everything. Ocarina of Time has a hidden adaptive difficulty system that tracks your performance and adjusts. The game monitors how much damage you take, how often you die, and how efficiently you solve puzzles. Based on this data, it subtly adjusts enemy damage, enemy aggression, and even puzzle hint frequency. Struggle in combat, and enemies will deal slightly less damage over time. Die repeatedly in a dungeon, and the game will make Navi's hints more frequent and explicit. Play perfectly, and the game maintains maximum difficulty. The system is never acknowledged or explained, and most players never notice because the adjustments are gradual and subtle. This adaptive difficulty explains why Ocarina feels perfectly balanced for both skilled and struggling players. It's not that the game has universal perfect difficulty, it's that the game customizes difficulty to each player's skill level dynamically. Nintendo was experimenting with adaptive design decades before it became common in modern games, and they hid it so well that players still debate whether it exists. Conclusion: a game that keeps giving. 25 years later, Ocarina of Time still has secrets to discover. From cut content buried in code to hidden mechanics that subtly guide your experience. From intentional mysteries to happy accidents that became features. This game was crafted with incredible care and depth. These 26 facts are just the beginning of Ocarina's hidden layers. The next time you play Ocarina of Time, remember you're probably still missing details, still overlooking secrets, still experiencing systems you don't fully understand. That's the magic of this game. It rewards repeated playthroughs with new discoveries and respects players enough to hide content for those willing to search. Ocarina of Time isn't just a masterpiece, it's a treasure chest that keeps revealing new treasures the deeper you dig.